I knew my life had hit rock bottom when the only exciting thing in my inbox was a spam coupon for half-off frozen pizza. That was the morning everything changed, when the wrong email landed in my hands and refused to let go of me. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, just some stranger rambling about his broken-down car, his favorite band, and how he hated living in a town that felt too small for his heart. But there was something in the way he wrote raw, funny, and painfully honest that made me feel like I was eavesdropping on someone's soul. The kicker? His email was dated 10 years ago. At first, I thought it was some server glitch or maybe a prank. But when I replied half out of curiosity, half out of boredom, answered back the very next day. Same voice, same aching loneliness bleeding through every word. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a mistake. Somehow, against all logic, I was writing to someone who lived a decade in the past. His name was Ryan. And if I'm being brutally honest, Ryan was everything I had stopped believing in. He was 22, wild-hearted, stuck in a town in rural Ohio where everyone knew your secrets before you even spoke them out loud. He was desperate to leave, to breathe in bigger air, to find someone who would understand him. Someone who wouldn't look at him like he was broken for loving the way he did. I was sitting in my New York apartment, 29 years old, suffocating under the weight of a career that had gone stale, a relationship that had shattered years ago, and a loneliness I never admitted to anyone. Yet here was this boy, this man from another time, typing to me like I was the one person who might actually get it. It didn't take long for our emails to turn into lifelines. Every night I'd come home, pour a glass of cheap whiskey, and open my inbox like a man opening a letter from the front lines. Ryan would tell me about his fights with his father, who thought being gay was a sin carved in stone. He wrote about the way he blasted his music loud enough to drown out the silence of his room. About the boy he kissed once behind the bleachers, a kiss so electric it terrified him into pretending it never happened. And I told him about me. I told him about losing my mother to cancer when I was 17, about how my father never forgave me for not turning out the way he wanted, about the relationships I ruined because I couldn't believe anyone could love me without conditions. I told him things I had never said out loud to another soul. The more we wrote, the more impossible it became to ignore the truth. I was falling in love with a man trapped in a different time. It should have been laughable, ridiculous, something straight out of a bad Netflix original. But every word from Ryan cracked me open in ways I didn't know I still could be. He wasn't just someone I loved. He was my mirror, my echo across the years, proof that somewhere out there, someone felt the same way I did. The first time he signed off an email with "Wish you were here," I sat at my desk for an hour staring at the screen, my chest aching with something I couldn't name. Because God, I wished I was there too. The problem with miracles is they don't stay clean forever. It started small. His emails referenced events I remembered vividly, things that had already happened. But then he started asking questions. Questions like, do you think it's possible to change the future? Or what if I don't survive staying here? I froze. I knew exactly what he was asking. And I knew exactly what would happen in his timeline if he stayed in that small Ohio town. Because I remembered reading about it in the news. A 22-year-old boy found dead in a field outside of town. A hate crime never solved. Ryan. He wasn't just some stranger from the past. He was someone I had already lost before I even found him. I slammed my laptop shut that night and couldn't breathe. Every instinct in me screamed to stop, to walk away, to not interfere with the laws of time or fate or whatever cruel system had made this possible. But then his next email came and I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave him to die knowing I had the chance, maybe the only chancito change it. So I wrote back. I told him to leave, to pack a bag, to run, to not look back. I didn't care how impossible it sounded. I didn't care if he believed me or thought I was insane. I begged him to trust me. His reply came in the middle of the night. You feel like the only real thing in my life. If you say run, I'll run. That was the moment everything shifted. But shifting time isn't clean. Tears things open. I felt it the next morning, in the way the city felt off, like some small thread in the fabric of reality had been pulled loose. And when I opened my inbox again, his email had changed. The date was different. The words were sharper, urgent. He wasn't just writing to me anymore, was running for his life. And for the first time since we began, I was terrified that loving him might not be enough to save him. The world didn't end. That was my first thought when I opened my inbox and saw his name glowing there. A new email stamped with the impossible today's date. No glitch, no time warp, no timestamp buried 10 years behind. Today. For a long moment, I couldn't move. My chest ached with the weight of it. My throat tight as though saying his name out loud might shatter the miracle in front of me. Ryan. Alive. Writing from the same present I lived in. I made it out, his email began. I don't know how to explain this, but I ran like you told me. I left that night and everything after feels like borrowed time. But I'm here. I'm here. And I think I finally found my way to you. I read those words until the letters blurred. 10 years of difference erased in an instant, the impossible made real. But reality wasn't neat. Ryan wasn't the 22-year-old kid anymore. Time had caught up with him. He was older now, almost my age, with scars I hadn't witnessed, choices I hadn't lived with him, and still had come. Somehow, someway, he had broken through. The email ended with an address. A train station in upstate New York. Noon. I don't remember how I got there. The city blurred into a smear of gray and glass as I boarded the first train out. My palms sweated. My heart raced. My mind replayed every word he had ever written to me. The fear gnawed at Muhat if it wasn't him? What if I had built a dream from old emails and ghosts of what could have been? But then I saw him, standing at the far end of the platform, framed by sunlight pouring through the glass roof. He looked older, yes, but unmistakably him, the curve of his smile, the nervous set of his shoulders, the way his eyes scanned the crowd like he was searching for the one person who could anchor him. Me. I didn't move at first. I was terrified that if I blinked, he would dissolve back into the past. Another cruel joke played by time. But then his gaze found mine. And in that single second, the years, the distance, the impossibility, all of it collapsed. He ran. And I swear, the whole station disappeared. When he reached me, we both froze, inches apart, breathing like we had just outrun fate itself. His eyes glistened, and I could see it in years of survival, of carrying the weight of choices he'd made because of me. He whispered, voice breaking, "You're real." I laughed through my tears. "So are you." The first touch was hesitant, a brush of his hand against mine. But when our fingers locked, it felt like the universe had been holding its breath for us, waiting for this moment to finally exhale. He pulled me in, and suddenly I was holding him warm, solid, alive. I don't know how long we stood there. The world rushed around us, trains came and went, but I only heard his heartbeat pounding against mine. After years of words on a screen, of impossible longing, here he was, flesh and bone. The man who had haunted my nights, now in my arms. Later, we sat on a bench just outside the station. The noise of the city muffled beneath the weight of everything. We couldn't stop touching his hand on my knee, my thumb tracing the curve of his palm. He told me his story, how he had left that night just like I begged him to, how the world had been cruel, but never as cruel as staying in a town that wanted him dead. He drifted for years, never fully belonging, always carrying this invisible tether pulling him forward, toward me. I told him mine, the loneliness, the waiting, the quiet hope that somehow, some way, the miracle would bend once more in our favor. "You saved me," he whispered. I shook my head. "You saved yourself. I just loved you enough to want you alive." His lips trembled into a smile. "Then maybe that's the same thing." We kissed then. It wasn't fireworks or symphonies. Not the explosive rush of first love. It was something deeper, steadier, the kind of kiss that felt like coming home after years of wandering. His hand cupped my jaw, and I held him like I'd never let him go. And I wouldn't. For the first time, the future wasn't something to dread. It stretched before us, uncertain but alive with possibility. There would be challenges explaining us, reconciling the years we hadn't lived together, learning each other all over again. But none of it scared me, because every impossible thing had already happened, and we had survived. When the sun dipped low, casting the city in gold, Ryan leaned his head against my shoulder. "So what now?" I smiled, pressing my lips to his hair. Now we start living the years we were cheated out of. He laced his fingers with mine, squeezing tight. And for the first time in as long as I could remember, I wasn't looking back. The past had brought us together. But the future that was ours to write. And maybe, just maybe, love was never bound by time at all. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.